This year's National Maritime Week celebration is Seafarers at the core of shipping's future. I welcome you all to the 5th Visayas MARC or Maritime Research Colloquium 2021. We will now start the program with an opening prayer and to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Our Heavenly Father, the source of all that is good, we are deeply thankful that despite the hardships brought by the pandemic, we are able to continue surviving every day. But today, in these troubling times, we come to you as a child to a father and beg your forgiveness, seek your respite, and continuously cling to your love and mercy. We seek your unwavering compassion with our heads down, beating chest from our sinfulness, yet deeply faithful to your continuous affection to your creation, children, and the community of those faithful to you. Protect us and guide us in the new normal, especially the essential workers and household providers who heroically work during these troubling times, as we continue to pray for their health and safety, as a token of our gratitude for doing their best for us. We ask for courage to sustain our labor despite the risk of contracting illnesses and the hopelessness we have begun to feel. We are crying for your help that can only be given by you, our Creator, Savior, and Sanctifier. Be with us every day, O Lord, and make us brave enough to face every day as we offer our works of love and compassion and do our best to protect the heroes of today's pandemic and help them win this battle against the evil one. This we all ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
To start the formal program of our virtual Maritime Research Colloquium, let us all listen to the special opening remarks and the rationale of the colloquium by the President of the Women in Maritime Philippines Western Visayas and the Vice President of the Philippine Association of Maritime Institution Visayas Regional Network, Dr. Maria Teresa S. Sarabia.
Commodore Hostilio Arturo Cornelio, PCG, District Commander, Coast Guard District Western Visayas. Engineer Eduardo P. Goles, Port Manager, PPA-PMO Iloilo. Director Felisa Orongan, Regional Director, Marina Region 6. Mr. Sabino Sar Manglikmot, President, Philippine Association of Maritime Institutions, panel of paper reviewers, research paper presenters, WIMAFIL Western Visayas officers, WIMAFIL ladies and youth, distinguished guests, friends, students, participants to the 5th Visayas MARC Virtual Colloquium 2021, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the 5th Virtual Visayas MARC Colloquium 2021. We are happy that despite the pandemic, we are continuing with the 5th Visayas MARC Colloquium with 12 oral research presenters. We have surpassed last year's achievement and are happy to welcome the participation of non-Visayas PAMI members. For this, we would like to acknowledge the support of the PAMI President, Mr. Sabino Sar Manglikmot. We would also like to acknowledge Mrs. Mylene Hainga, who worked very hard to make this 5th Visayas MARC Colloquium a reality. Let us give them a big virtual applause. The rationale for this colloquium are, first, to be able to collate the researches in maritime and to present in a journal form to concerned maritime agencies such as the Maritime Industry Authority, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine Ports Authority, and the Commission on Higher Education, to name a few. Last year, one of the rationale of the colloquium was to propose researches which will help us analyze whether the innovations that we implemented due to the pandemic were effective. I am happy that several of the researches presented today specifically deals with this specific objective. To name a few, the researchers stated port operations and management during the pandemic in Iloilo City, experience of seafarers on work deployment among international seagoing vessels amidst the pandemic, the use of institutional development and innovation grant IDIG, e-module to improve the students' academic performance in meteorology and oceanography, evaluation of maritime literature module using Google Classroom as an online teaching and learning platform, and satisfaction of maritime students towards the use of print and e-module as the flexible learning modality in the new normal, to name a few. This year, in support of the goal of the PAMI President, Mr. Sabino Sar Manglikmot, to put into place the regional PAMI ARNet repository and the national PAMI data center, the second objective of the research colloquium is to propose the following researches in order to help us analyze whether the regional ARNet repository and the national PAMI data center have achieved their objectives. The first, effectivity of the regional ARNet repository, and the second, effectivity of the national PAMI data center. Again, welcome to the 5th Visayas MARC presentation and congratulations to everyone who made this activity possible, most especially to Mrs. Mylene Hainga, the Research and Development Coordinator of St. THERESE-MTC College, the PAMI, headed by Mr. Sabino Sar Manglikmot, President, for sponsoring the payment of our panel of reviewers and the tokens for our oral research presenters, to the Coast Guard District Western Visayas, and to Dr. Carol Enriquez for sponsoring the other expenses related to this activity, and to all the research panel reviewers, presenters, and participants to this 5th Visayas MARC Research Colloquium. Without all of you, this event would not be possible. Maraming salamat po. Good day and God bless us all.
Thank you, Dr. Sarabia, for the opening remarks. And now, let us hear the welcome address of the Philippine Coast Guard District Commander, Commodore Hostilio Arturo E. Cornelio, PCG.
Good afternoon, everyone. We just learned an interesting topic from our speakers. This may be called a fruitful afternoon, that our brilliant speakers have just shared a fraction of their knowledge. May this discussion help you widen and broaden your knowledge and understanding to different maritime-related topics. Again, let us use these opportunities to learn more and become better seafarers. Let us use these practices as our protective gears towards change that bring us. To the next generation of mariners, we hope that this will keep you interested to learn more and continue what our experts have started. We may not know that this might open up ideas to some individuals, which may lead to innovations and breakthroughs to improve our maritime industry. And before I end this, I would like to congratulate our speakers for sharing us their knowledge, just like professors in universities that boast their outstanding students. As one, let us continue to pursue for the betterment of our maritime industry. Once again, to all participants and to our speakers, a pleasant good afternoon to all.
Thank you so much, Philippine Coast Guard District Commander Cornelio, for your welcome message. Let us now focus our eyes and ears to rules and guidelines and our amazing virtual research presenters for today.
Welcome to the 5th Visayas MARC Colloquium 2021. Guidelines. For the oral presentation, the guidelines are: Number 1. The pre-recorded presentation must not be longer than 10 minutes. Number 2. Slides must be included in the recorded video presentation. 3. A maximum of 15 slides is allowed. This must already include the title page and the references. Number 4. The use of the MRAD or Introduction, Methodology, Results, and Discussion format is highly encouraged. For the poster presentation, the guidelines are: 1. Poster can be in a form of infographic material. 2. Poster must be in a long-size bond paper format, 8.5 by 13 inches. 3. It must cover the salient points of the paper. 4. Poster must be submitted in JPEG format and must have a high resolution. Thank you. For the paper presentations, first presenter from John B. Lacson Foundation, Maritime University, Arevalo. Title: Cognitive Domain, Volitional Strategies Towards the Academic Performance of Maritime Students by Dr. Brian Hill S. Sarinas, Dr. Roderick R. Guillermo, Midshipman John Carl Tagulala, and Midshipman Thomas Richard E. Graza.
Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Roderick R. Hermo, and I am going to present our study entitled Cognitive Domain, Volitional Strategies Towards the Academic Performance of Maritime Students. My co-authors are the following: Dr. Brian Hill S. Sarinas, Midshipman John Carl P. Tagulala, and Midshipman Thomas Richard E. Graza, and I am representing John B. Lacson Foundation, Maritime University, Arevalo. Introduction. Cognitive domain pertains to a domain of behaviors that are associated to striving, according to Atman and Hanna 1987. Not only to do the best, but to reach the needs to perform at the highest level, according to Reeves 2006, Witt and Kane 2005. The term also refers to our understanding of volition, doing, and ethics, according to Reeves 2006, and our capacity to act, decide, and commit. This has two main categories: motivation or intention, and volition or action, according to Pamine, Hadcraft, and Prefik 2009, and Schumann 2007. An individual has a cognitive skills if he or she knows how to interpret situations, cultivate a growth mindset, develop resiliency or grit, avoid negative thinking, take various perspectives on an issue, interact responsibly with other people, handle controversy and resolve conflict, and develop goals and commitment, according to Wright and Leggett 2016. Rationale. This study was conducted because there is an absence of baseline data concerning connection of senior high school and marine transportation students towards academic performance. Furthermore, the cognitive domain or aspect is often ignored, according to Pymine, Hadcraft, and Prefix 2009, Reeves 2006, and Snow and Jackson 1997. It is hoped that through this research, the cognitive aspect of students towards their academic performance will be improved or enhanced. Statement of the problem. This study aimed to determine the cognitive domain regarding volitional strategies towards academic performance, its level, strategies students use when conflict arises both in school and at home, and identified a significant difference in the volitional strategies according to students' classification at JBL-FMU Arevalo for the second semester of the school year 2016-2017. Specifically, this study sought to answer the following questions. Number one, what is the level of cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards academic performance when taken as an entire group and when classified according to student classification? Number two, what method or strategies do students use to learn when conflicting situations arise in school and at home? And third, is there a significant difference in the cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards academic performance when classified according to student classification? Methods. This study utilizes a survey as a research design. A descriptive survey uses the same set of questionnaire for a large number of individuals, according to Frankel and Wallen and Yoon 1993. This design is both quantitative and qualitative. The qualitative aspect uses the narration research design. According to Creswell 2007, narrative research or narratology is a retelling of experiences as expressed in live and told stories of individuals. Respondents. There were 358 students who participated in this study. These senior high school and first to third year BSMT students were officially enrolled at JBL-FMU Arevalo during the second semester of the school year 2016-2017. Meanwhile, stratified proportional random sampling was used to select our respondents. Instrument. The 20-item standardized questionnaire on the cognitive domain, specifically on volition strategies, was adopted from McCann and Turner 2004, the Academic Volitional Strategies Inventory, or AVSI. This instrument has also undergone reliability testing, having an index value of 0.86 using Cronbach alpha. An open-ended question was asked to supplement the information derived from the questionnaire. Data collection. The data gathered were in the form of interval scale and responses from the open-ended question. The respondents were not identified by the name and kept confidential and not reflected in the final research report. Data analysis, mean and the standard deviation was used to treat the results. Besides, one-way analysis of variance set at 0.05 alpha was used to determine if there was no significant difference in the volitional strategies towards the academic performance of students according to their classification. Meanwhile, for open-ended question, teams were used to explicate the results. The teams were generated by analyzing the claims of the respondents having the same meaning. Mean scale description and indicators of cognitive domain in terms of their volitional strategies towards academic performance. Mean scale in between 4.50 to 5.0, the description is very high, and these are the following indicators. Mean scale 3.51 to 4.50, the description is high, and these are the following indicators. Mean scale in between 2.51 to 3.50, the description is moderate, and these are its coordinating indicators. Mean scale in between 1.51 to 2.50, the description is low, and these are its indicators. Mean scale between 1 to 1.50, the description is very low, and these are the following indicators. Result and discussion. Number 1. Level of cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards their academic performance when taken as an entire group and then when classified according to student classification. The composite mean is 4.02, which is described as high. This simply means that the senior high school and the marine transportation student have a high intention to pass the course, have strong will to get high grades, eager to find solution to academic problems, possess a high energy to accomplish academic works on time, accurate, and in a systematic way, know what to do, balance activities, and manage time to overcome workloads, often reflect past experiences to prevent academic failure, and keen on how others do the job. The findings mentioned above are considered motivation in order to achieve something, according to Snow and Jackson, 1997, or to survive from academic rigors. Motivation, according to Pyman et al. 2009 and Schumann 2007, plays a major role in the cognitive aspect of an individual. Number 2. Methods or strategies used by students to learn when conflicting situations arise in school and at home. Letter A, time management. In a society where time runs in a fast pace and the tasks and workloads become compelling, there is nothing but vital to consider except for time management. Student 15 replied, first, I'll give my concentration and focus on studying. Then I will try to manage my time by giving equal time in studying each subject. Student 16 said, I consume mostly of my time study without compromising my leisure time. Student 17 said, I will first do the things that are more interesting to me and let the difficult one to be my last priority. I will enjoy what I'm doing and I will make sure that all things are properly scheduled and also took my study seriously and wisely. Letter B, summarization. In discourse and in study, taken out of the whole main idea, out of a bulky load of information is often a dilemma. This struggle challenges comprehension, understanding, and retention. However, the technique of summarization often sways in making the latter process easier. Students, number 5, said, writing and summarizing topics for every subject with given or allotted time for each, also giving a rest time for every subject so that you can do other things while relaxing. Student number 14 answered, summarizing the important topics and writing it in a piece of paper to be used as a reviewer, listening to studying or meditating music in order to gain concentration when memorizing. Student number 100 answered, I must summarize those pages to writing them in a new piece of paper and ignore those interesting things. Letter C, highlighting and underlining. For a clearer and comprehensive understanding of a context and retentive acquisition of information, highlighting and underlining are two useful ways that can be utilized. Student 154 said, to make my studying more effective, I just highlight important key points on the said lesson. Student 166 believed that methods or strategies I used to learn in the most effective way is to memorize the important words, each line or sentence. This is my way of preparing myself for the examination tomorrow. Student 222 answered, I tend to highlight the important term first, then I read the whole text and try to understand the concept and context. Letter D, skimming and scanning. In the design of learning through the acquisition of knowledge, gathering of data or information matters in a way it is done correctly, effectively, and time-wise. Considering the difference of skimming and scanning processes, it is understood that information can be determined what is essential and what is not. Student number 13 said, I used to skim and scan my notes if that is the situation, forget all negative outcomes and focus. Also, I used to boost my confidence and pray for passing the exam. Student 49 said, study by scanning for a while, take some good sleep, and wake up early to study again. Student 82 said, I will do scanning and skimming, but as much as possible, I will finish reading the book and understand it before I will do interesting things that I may do at home. Letter E, multitasking. In situations there are time constraint and pressure, there is a natural tendency to multitask in response to the urge for compliance. So the number 112 answered, multitasking is what I do. I do that interesting things while studying because I remember things easily because there is an action. I do the touches ideas effectively. I sometimes do that interesting things first before studying. Student 224 said, dovetailing, multitasking. Student 235 replied, while doing work, bring notes and keep reading. Setting priorities is letter F. Oftentimes, students are bombarded with several steps to deal with, especially the school-related ones. Considering the limited time which can be utilized, the problem of which should come first arises. That is when setting priorities takes place. Student 1 said, I prioritize the most difficult subject first when studying. Student number 4 said, I will set a particular amount to finish studying so that when the time comes, it will remind me that I am ahead or behind schedule. Student number 6 said, don't count the pages to be read, but count the pages you already read so that you will not easily get bored. Letter G, focus and concentrate. Learning process takes into account several factors in order to be achieved. One of these is the focus of concentration when one arises to acquire ideas on a school setting. He must not just be physically present during the classroom discussion, but mentally as well. Student number 47 said, focus to your study. Start reading your notes so that as the time passes by, you will learn. Student 76 answered, just focus on the things which are more important than other things at home. Student 138 stated, focus on what the instructors explain on us. Student 257 uttered, focus on the most important work and manage some time to do the rest. Letter H, taking down notes. The human mind cannot always grasp everything that is orally and visually received. Complete absorption of the lesson is often hindered during classroom discussion, especially when one is tasked to listen for an average of 8 hours per day. This is when taking down notes becomes handy. Student 45 said, I take down important notes that I have read in every page and I read it again and again. Student 25 replied, taking down notes or making myself a reviewer so that it would be easier to understand. Study and review. While school environments serve as a conducive place for learning, classroom discussion alone will not suffice for the needed knowledge of the student, especially when examination results threaten the possible outcomes of the future. Thus, studying and reviewing of lessons with the aid of books and other reference notes makes a cover-up for this loophole. So the number 8 answer, disregard the interesting things to do at home and get myself on finishing or studying the material. After that, I reward myself doing some interesting things and enjoy the most out of it. After relaxation, rest, or review will be next. I always stress the importance of grades or quizzes on my lifestyle. Studying it as if my life depends on it. Student number 32 replied, I study for 30 to 40 minutes, then the rest by doing things that make me feel relaxed, and after that, I continue studying and do the same thing so I can remember stuff I study in a short content at a time. Number 3, significant difference in the cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards academic performance when classified according to student classification. There is no significant difference in the cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards academic performance when classified according to student classification. Fisher's test 3 to 354 equals to 0.093. P-value is 0.964. This means that the student cognitive domain is the same even if they have different classification. Conclusions. Number 1, this study concludes that the level of cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards academic performance is high, which means that the senior high school and marine transportation students have a high intention to pass the course, have a strong will to get high grades, eager to find solutions to academic problems, possess a high energy to accomplish academic works on time, accurate in a systematic way, know what to do, balances activity and manage time to overcome workloads, often reflect past experiences to prevent academic failure, and keen on how others do the job. Based on the themes, the method or strategy students use to learn when conflicting situations arise in school and at home are as follows: time management, summarization, highlighting and underlining, scheming and scanning, multitasking, setting priorities, focus and concentrate, taking down notes, and study and review. Furthermore, no significant difference was observed in the cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards the academic performance when classified according to student classification, which means that the student cognitive domain is the same even if they have different classification, high school or VSMT. Recommendation. Based on the result and conclusion, the researchers recommend to sustain the level of cognitive domain in terms of volitional strategies towards their academic performance. Meanwhile, for students who wish to enhance further the cognitive domain, the researchers recommend the use of the guide or the materials developed by the researcher. A copy of this should be given to the academic coordinator who holds the mentoring program of the institution for reference. References are the following. Keep safe and God bless everyone. Acknowledgement, Dr. Marilu Lacson Arcelo, Dr. Raymond Lacson Sebastian, Captain Luis G. Evidente, Captain Alfred G. Espinosa, PhD, Dr. Brian Hill S. Sarinas, Chiefmate Bermary S. Tan, PhD, and the VSMD Programs Coordinator.
Second presenter from St. THERESE-MTC Colleges, La Fiesta. Title: Port Operations and Management During Pandemic in Iloilo City by Mrs. Annalyn A. Hover.
Good day, everyone. I would like to share a study on ports operations and management during pandemic in Iloilo City. We understand that shipping and ports hold the world economy together. They connect countries, markets, businesses, and people. A vast array of goods and commodities are transported by sea, that is to meet the demands of industrial and manufacturing sectors, energy needs, as well as business and consumer requirements. Facing the current pandemic, cross-border movements of relief goods such as food and medical supplies will increase dramatically. Restrictions on trade and cross-border transport may interrupt needed aid and technical support. It could disrupt businesses and have negative social and economic effects on affected countries. From this concept, this study entitled Ports Operations and Management During Pandemic in Iloilo City was conceived. This study seeks to answer the following questions. Number 1, what are the problems encountered in port operations and management? What are the alternative strategies used by ports in Iloilo City during pandemic? And how effective are these strategies? According to the International Chamber of Shipping 2020, the maritime industry is playing an essential role in the short-term emergency response to the COVID-19 by facilitating transport of vital commodities and products. Despite the current difficult times, a vast majority of ports have succeeded to stay open to cargo operations. However, most of them still remain closed to passenger traffic. Mid and long-term recovery will need to further enhance sustainability and resilience of the maritime transport sector as a whole, that is for sustaining jobs, international trade, and global economy as much as possible. The International Chamber of Shipping stated that by implementing certain preventive measures for coronavirus, ports and global shipping can continue to operate and avoid the closure of any port. The ICS recommended exit screening at all ports in the affected areas to isolate passengers displaying symptoms of the disease and curb its spread to other countries. All major ports across the world have adopted a 14-day quarantine period. That's for vessels arriving from or transiting through China. Vessels arriving from China are required to report regarding the health of the crew members and passengers prior to berthing. This study is anchored on theory of crisis management. Crisis management is a proactive process which involves dealing with a crisis before it happens, during the crisis, and aftermath. Crisis management is a process designed to prevent or lessen the damage a crisis can inflict on an organization and its stakeholders. It states that crisis situations arise when people are treated more fairly than others. In relation to this study, theory of crisis management must be considered because it is important in determining the aspects of preparing for, preventing, and coping with, and recovering from a crisis regarding the strategies applied by the ports during the COVID-19 pandemic. The operation of ports is of vital importance to face the coronavirus crisis. Ports ensure that the world's medical supplies, the food, fuel and raw materials, as well as manufactured goods and components vital to the preservation of employment, continue to reach their intended destinations. The primary concern of the researchers should be the safety of the research participants. This was accomplished by carefully considering the risk-benefit ratio, using all available information to make an appropriate assessment and continually monitoring the research. What are the problems encountered in port operations and management during the pandemic? There were problems on handling of passengers, the acceptance to the new system, and maintaining the full implementation of the safety protocols. What about the alternative strategies used by the ports during the pandemic? The port imposed disinfection on all its buildings. They implemented the trace contact tracing system, the safety health protocols. They also adopted the alternative work arrangements. They issued penalties for those who are not following the protocols, and they have infomercials around the passenger terminal building. The effectiveness of strategies implemented. Findings of the study revealed that the strategies implemented were effective as to how to find alternative ways to meet the minimum compliance, and the ports had not recorded any COVID-19 positive cases during the time the study was conducted. The findings of the study: the COVID-19 pandemic still rages unabated, ravaging and affecting lives, affecting businesses, individuals, and industries worldwide. That's in many ways that will change the world forever. And despite facing difficulties posed by the pandemic, ports under the Philippine Ports Authority control are on heightened alert to ensure that proper health and safety protocols are observed. The PPA is implementing measures to guarantee that ports remain COVID-free in preparation for the new normal. PPA also eliminating face-to-face transactions by introducing several online platforms. And the Philippine Ports Authority launches its contact tracing system in its bid to facilitate the movement of people inside the ports. To conclude, the PPA is also partnering with other government agencies like the DOH or the Department of Health in its anti-COVID-19 advocacies. No person showing the symptoms of COVID-19 has been detected during the time of the study. COVID-19 protective equipment and other essentials are being provided to all its ports to protect its employees. These are the implications of the study. Collaboration and communication are the key elements towards a rapid and efficient response to the pandemic. The ships receive information and instructions about the measures introduced by the company to address the risks associated with COVID-19. The prioritization of essential port activities should be considered to ensure the preservation of the cargo transportation and logistic chain for the supply of goods. There are recommendations for shipping companies, commuters and workers, for the government, and for the future researchers. The shipping companies ought to continue to implement the COVID-19 safety protocols, even if the city or province lifted the ACQ, MECQ, and GCQ, that is to ensure that the facilities are COVID-free. For the commuters and workers, there is a need to follow all the implemented safety protocols in every port terminal so that there will be a low risk possible of COVID-19 infection. The government shall provide enough funding for the implementation of good pandemic preparedness and response. And for the future researchers, they should expand the study by gathering information and identifying the implemented preventive measures from other ports, not just in Iloilo province, but also in whole Western Visayas, and to include the port operator. These are the references of the study. Before I end, I would like to thank the administration for allowing me to present the study ports operation and management during pandemic in Iloilo City. Dr. Maria Teresa S. Sarabia, the President of St. THERESE-MTC Colleges, John Frederick Sarabia, the Vice President of St. THERESE-MTC Colleges, and Dr. Arlene Dalawis, the Research and Development Coordinator of St. THERESE-MTC Colleges, La Fiesta Side. Thank you so much.
Third presenter from the Maritime Academy of the Asia and the Pacific, Bataan. Title: Evaluation of the Maritime Literature Module using Google Classroom as an online teaching and learning platform by Assistant Professor Adeline Fabian Perona.
Good day, everyone. This is Miss Adeline Fabian Perona, a faculty member and an assistant research coordinator from the Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific. I am here today to present to you my research paper entitled Evaluation of Maritime Literature Module using Google Classroom as an online teaching and learning platform. So to begin with the introduction, the research priority of the research paper is the improvement of classroom instructions. As the Philippines continues to struggle with the coronavirus pandemic, whether to continue school's operation and students going to school has even aggravated the situation. Meanwhile, different education sectors have sought solutions to address the present problem. One of these is the usage of modular learning, an alternative to the traditional face-to-face classes to eliminate the risk of being exposed to the deadly virus. Consequently, on August 14, the Department of Education postponed the class opening for the school year 2020 to 2021 from August 24 to October 5, 2020 in pursuance to Republic Act 11480. Meanwhile, in Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific, an academy with different schooling system has continued to ensure safe, accessible, and quality education for all the students inside the academy. As per CHED Memorandum Order number 20 series of 2013, otherwise known as General Education Curriculum, Holistic Understandings, Intellectual, and Civic Competencies, is a policy that cover for the General Education Curriculum, or also known as GEC. This offers greater flexibility than the current curriculum. Thus, the new course, Maritime Literature, has been added and offered to MAAP's program. This is as new NGEC courses. Starting July 1 to 31, 2020, 9 different sections from regular class of batch 2022 under Bachelor of Science in Marine Transportation, or also known as BSMT, have taken up the Maritime Literature course. This is one of the electives for the said program. The class was comprised of a total population of 154 cadets. With a span of 1 month, in the said summer class, instructors and students have utilized the Maritime Literature module learning material, that is aid of the Google Classroom application as an online platform. So what are the research focus of the study? The study has module content. You can see here different aspects of the module's content. We also have the topics, particularly addressing the most interesting and most difficult from the module. And then lastly, we have overall evaluation of the MAAP deck cadets and MAAP cadets on the learning material. Moving forward, the researcher have utilized the research model by Chemis and McTaggart's 1988 action research model. So this is comprised of 4 important steps and levels. We have the planning, the action, the observation, and reflection. So where is the study based from? So the researcher have enumerated few of the related literature for the study. So we have here Boise State University that defines module as a unit, chapter, topic, and segment of instruction. More so, Burge shared 3 important key things to think about first on designing a learning material, particularly module. So we have here clarity, alignment, and course context. And then last, for this presentation of related literature is coming from the Glossary of Education Reform 2014 that mentioned that learning objectives is a way to establish and articulate academic expectation for the students in learning a specific course. Moving forward with the research methodology, so a while back, I have mentioned that the study has utilized McTaggart and Chemist action research model. So beginning with the planning stage, here is the stage where the researcher find or identify the problem with the potential strategies. So with the time limitations, the construction and development of the instructional material in maritime literature have been exposed to prospective changes. This involves including some of the topics and formative activities, particularly the SIT tasks or SIT works, and the quizzes. This is in order to satisfy the course time framework for the whole summer period. With the succeeding level, we have action. Here, the researcher has executed the strategies. So according to the students' instructors' feedback, covering the complete topics of the first designed maritime literature during the summer class is ineffective. So this is taking for consideration the time, given that the course is only good for a month. So with the number of the reading texts, activities, assignments, and quizzes, the students or the users was not able to satisfy their learning needs suitable for the time frame of the summer class session. With the observation phase, it is where the outcomes after the strategy has been incorporated. So with the action taken in terms of the revision, exclusions of some formative contents of the module yielded favorable outcomes which were shown on the students' feedback. And the last one is reflection. This is where the evaluation of the outcome is done. So the assessed comments of both the instructors and students who are both users of the learning material in maritime literature has provided essential improvements to the module, which is notably in terms of eliminating parts of its content. Evaluated feedback and modifications have made the module more successful in catering to both needs of the instructors and students in addressing teaching and learning requirements. Taking into the account the medium utilized in this period is through Google Classroom. With the data analysis procedure, the researcher has used the tool of Google Form, wherein both BSMT and MARE students have done and have answered the survey with the descriptive responses of good, fair, and poor. So that is on how to evaluate the maritime literature learning material. The data collection and analysis of the responses, the convenient sampling was utilized to collect the responses from the Google form, wherein descriptive statistics, specifically frequency and percentage, were used to tabulate the responses. So what are the revisions made? So here are the specific revisions and actions taken for consideration with the maritime module content. So we have here the number of activities, wherein the total number of 5 was reduced to 3. So activity 4 and activity 5 were removed. The number of assignments from 6 was reduced to 4 assignments, wherein assignment number 5 and assignment number 6 were excluded. Moving forward, the reading material or the reading text of The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway were removed, wherein Sonnet 116 by William Shakespeare and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn were added because the researcher and the developer of the maritime literature learning material believe that it is more appropriate than the first one. So here, I would like to present the research findings per table. Table number 1 depicts the students' feedback on the usage of the learning material during the summer class and the first semester. So you can see here with the content, majority of the content has remarked good. So the students' level of knowledge is the only aspect which is remarked as fair. With table 2.1, this is presenting us the most interesting and most difficult topics during the summer class. So we will be evaluating and I will be digging deeper with this presentation as we move forward. Table number 2.2 is the same, most interesting and most difficult topics for the students during the first semester. So the first or the second table is referring to the topics. And then for table number 3, addressing statement number 3, talking about the overall evaluation, you can see here that during the summer class and first class, okay, summer class is where the learning material is offered to deck cadets, and then on the succeeding semester, it is offered to engine cadets. So both evaluation of students has revealed that the usage or the overall evaluation of maritime literature module was good. Okay, so what are the findings? So these are the point-by-point implications found out of the research paper. So first one is the designing of the learning material like a module requires alignment of the content, which is vital factor in the effectiveness of the material. Secondly, it is important to have a clear, achievable goals or outcomes. So as you have heard a while back, the glossary of use in related literature has emphasized on the 3 aspects. Okay, so that is the same as Burge, okay, as an author in the related of literature. And then number 3, we also must address and consider the time constraints. So there is a huge gap between the time frame of summer class and the regular first semester. So time must allow the learners to complete the assigned activities without sacrificing its quality. Okay, so what are the conclusions made of? In light of the foregoing findings, the following conclusions were hereby drawn. So students' feedback on the usage of maritime literature module during the summer, that is before the revision and after the revision, were both positively revealed as good. The most interesting and most difficult topics on maritime literature during the summer class and the first semester appeared to be lesson number 4, which is the content and contextual analysis, while lesson 5 is presenting evidences in literature which appeared during the first semester. The students' evaluation on the overall usage of the maritime literature module was remarked as good. So what are the recommendations given? So first and foremost, the researcher would like to address it to the course developer and the designer of the module with the consideration of taking the alignment of the learning objectives and learning activities and assignments which is directly addressed and directly attained in the maritime literature module. Second is to have topics covered in the course learning material, which are addressing prior knowledge of the students. So there must be a variation of related topics for deck cadets and engine cadets, which are two different programs. And lastly, it is a good thing to regularly monitor the user's feedback. So in this case, the user's feedback is coming from both the deck and engine cadets together with faculty members. So this will allow us and aid us for necessary revision on the improvement of any learning material. So in this case, this is referring to a module for maritime literature. And then that is the end of my presentation. Would like to emphasize this part that we must remember that effective and successful learning and teaching will be achieved when the right and appropriate learning material is used. So again, this is Miss Edlyn Fabian Perona from the Maritime Academy of Asia and the Pacific. Good day, everyone, and thank you for your time.
Fourth presenter from St. THERESE-MTC Colleges, Magdalo, titled Factors Influencing the Level of Burned Out Among Longo Seafarers by Engineer Herbert Rex L. Capalla.
Good day, everyone. I am Herbert Rex Capalla, and I will be presenting a paper entitled Factors Influencing the Level of Burnout Among Ilonggo Seafarers. Seafaring is not an easy job. It takes sweat, blood, tears, and a lot of hard work, but amidst these, seafarers experience a lot of difficulties that can cause them to struggle emotionally and even physically. Seafarers' health and well-being has long been a concern in the shipping industry because of the unique characteristics of working at sea. Seafaring is undeniably a tough profession. A seafarer being away from family has to endure limited social life, monotonous routines, and different working environment, which leads to different kinds of stress. Stress and fatigue hinder the maritime professional to perform effectively. Seafarers are amongst occupational groups with the highest risk for stress, a factor known to impact on mental health. Psychological issues such as depression, anxiety, suicide, and alcohol or drug dependence are recognized health problems within the maritime sector. More often than that, seafaring includes a great variety of stressors that may let seafarers suffer from burnout. Emotional problems, physical work, and psychological problems are some factors that a seafarer might face every day, which correlates the nature of burnout among seafarers on board. Burnout refers to a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. It's not simply a result of working long hours. The cynicism, depression, and lethargy that are characteristic of burnout most often occur when a person is not in control of how a job is carried out, at work or at home, or is asked to complete tasks that conflict with their sense of self. Here, it is shown that there are several factors which affect or contribute to extreme stress. So we have social, workplace-related, personal, occasional circumstantial traumas. Social isolation among seafarers. Social isolation, according to Dr. Swift, is a state of separation from others which is often involuntary and experienced negatively. Is one form of this psychological state of alienation and can cause feelings of boredom, marginality, exclusion, anger, despair, sadness, frustration, and especially loneliness. A study by Panganiban and Garcia identified the level of burnout that seafarers experienced on board, and the results showed that the seafarers relatively suffered from high level of stress. The study paved way to the creation of an established stress management program for seafarers in order to keep them stay and be an efficient part of the business. So the study intends to find out the following. What is the level of burnout among Ilonggo seafarers in general and when grouped according to age, rank, and years of experience? What is the degree of factors influencing the level of burnout among the Ilonggo seafarers in terms of the following aspects: work pressure, interpersonal communication, financial obligations, untoward incidents, and emotional psychological? The study also intended to find out if there are significant differences in the level of burnout among the Ilonggo seafarers when grouped according to age, rank, and years of experience. And finally, study determines which of the factors influence the level of burnout of Ilonggo seafarers, whether it could be work pressure, interpersonal communication, financial obligations, untoward incidents, and emotional psychological. Hypothesis: there is no significant difference in the level of burnout among the Ilonggo seafarers when grouped according to age, rank, years of experience. The factors do not influence the level of burnout among the Ilonggo seafarers. For the methodology or research design, this study will employ quantitative or survey design, which according to Creswell, administers a survey or questionnaire to a small group of people to identify trends in attitudes, opinions, behavior, or characteristics of a large group of people. And the study is descriptive research in nature, as it will employ descriptive statistics. The respondents of the study were 70 Ilonggo seafarers who have experience of being on board the ship, regardless of the duration, age, and rank. The respondents came from various shipping companies in the country, employed non-random sampling, or snowball sampling to be specific, made use of the referrals from respondents to arrive at a considerable number of samples, and utilized a duly validated and pilot-tested researcher-made questionnaire. For the data analysis procedure, statistical tools were used for data analysis and interpretation, such as frequency, mean, standard deviation, Kruskal-Wallis test, and multiple regression. For the results of the study, we have here Table 1, which shows the profile of the respondents as to age, years of experience, and rank. The next table, level of burnout among Ilonggo seafarers as a whole and when grouped according to age, years of experience, and rank. It is notable that for the age category, the highest level of burnout was for the 36 years old and above group. Also for the years of experience category, for those more than 15 years, and in terms of rank, officers experienced the highest level of burnout. Here, for Table 3, the factors of burnout, the table shows that for the factors work pressure and emotional psychological, these factors contribute moderately to the burnout of the Ilonggo seafarers. Table 4, Kruskal-Wallis test of the difference in the level of burnout in terms of age, years of experience, and rank. The table shows that there are significant differences among the respondents when they are grouped according to their age, years of experience, and rank. Table 5 and the tables later, Table 6 and 7, will show that the work pressure indicated level of burnout, and the work pressure also explained a significant proportion of variance in the level of burnout. We have here Table 6 and Table 7. Here shows that the work pressure explained a significant proportion of the variance in the level of burnout. Now, for our conclusions. Age, years of experience, and rank are contributing factors to the level of burnout of the Ilonggo seafarers. As to the age, older seafarers have higher level of burnout as compared to the younger ones. As to years of experience, those with longer years of experience have higher level of burnout as compared to those with shorter years of experience. As to rank, Ilonggo seafarers with higher ranks have higher levels of burnout as compared to those with lower ranks. Also, work pressure is a predictor of the level of burnout among the Ilonggo seafarers. Specifically, the higher the work pressure, the higher the level of burnout. For our references, we have the following. That ends my presentation. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you for listening.
Fifth presenter from Lyceum of the Philippines University, Batangas. Title: Students Course Feedback Survey on Marine Engineering Professional Courses during the academic year 2018-2019 by Engineer Teresa E. Bacay.
Hello everyone, I'm Engineer Teresa E. Bacay from Lyceum of the Philippines University, Batangas, and I'm going to present a research entitled Student Course Feedback Survey on Marine Engineering Professional Courses during the annual year 2018-2019 with my co-authors, Mr. Jasper G. Atienza and second mate, Jean Edward Umali. For the background of the study, since the higher education in the Philippines is continuously facing new demands and challenges, student feedback is valuable. This will help meet those trends in education, resulting in an attentive enhancement of the curriculum from different colleges. A curriculum can serve as a guidepost in meeting the graduate learning scale. According to Mamun Al-Bashir, feedback is considered a problematic issue in the higher education arena. In addition, also acknowledge it is an essential element of improving the student learning process. For the statement of the problem, this research answered some of the requirements of accrediting agencies and provided an in-depth understanding of the institution's need for improvement and curriculum development. This may serve as a considerable input for the enhancement of teaching and learning strategies, especially in the professional subjects of the maritime. This study is a part of the initiative in the curriculum development of BS Marine Engineering in LPU Batangas, which is also in line with quality management systems objectives for continuous and further improvement. For the objectives of the study, it is aimed to determine the feedback of students of marine engineering of assessment year 2018-2019. Of the different relevance of professional courses taken, course organization, intended learning outcomes, the teachers or the faculty, the teacher learning activities, assessment methods, the learning environment, as well as counseling that involved while taking the professional courses. Research methodology. This study used the descriptive method to analyze the feedback of VS Marine Engineering students in their professional courses. Descriptive research is typically used to describe the characteristic of a population being studied. It does not answer how, when, why, but addresses the what question, as per Manrique and others 2018. For the significant findings, we have number 1, respondents are strongly agreed that all professional courses during the annual year 2018-2019 are relevant to their program. Second, factors like counseling and learning environment were strongly agreed by the respondents that needs further improvement. So to conclude, number 1, respondents of study are all BS Marine Engineering students during the annual year 2018-2019 who were enrolled in all and different professional courses of the program. Number 2, the study concluded that the respondents are strongly agreed that all professional courses during that year are relevant to their program. Number 3, the study reveals that the factors of counseling and learning environment were strongly agreed by the respondents that needs to be improved. From the conclusion, we recommended the following. Number 1, the marine engineering program was mainly composed of courses that provide technical and practical skills, and the school environment significantly affects their learning. The university may provide a working area during the practical assessment. The site should have spacious laboratories and be comfortable to use where equipment is in proper places and proper location and maintained consistently. Number 2, due to the growing demands of the enrollees, providing additional equipment must be considered by the administration. It may impact on how the students if there are lack of equipment. Students will need to wait for their turn to do their practical assessment, and this may result in a limited time to do the task and may lead to challenges in achieving the course learning outcome. Number 3, the study also revealed that counseling was needed to give importance and recommendation. The administration may provide pieces of training for all instructors for proper class management and counseling. This helps the teacher or the instructor to advance their knowledge in different strategies in assisting the needs of their students. And lastly, other studies relative to the current research should be conducted to support the present investigation by future researchers using different variables in assessing the course feedback. Thank you for listening. I'm Engineer Teresa Ibakay, and have a safe day for all of us.
Sixth presenter from John D. Lacson Foundation Maritime University, Arevalo. Title: The Use of Institutional Development and Innovation Grant, or IDIGE module, to improve the students' academic performance in meteorology and oceanography 2, by Chief Mate Nelson S. Abiota, PhD, and Chief Mate Eleuterio P. Fernandez.
Good day, everyone. I am Chief Mate Nelson S. Abiota, PhD, the author of this study, and with my colleague, Chief Mate Eleuterio P. Fernandez, my co-author of this study, and we are all the faculty members of the Bachelor of Science in Marine Transportation Department of John B. Lacson Foundation Maritime University, Arevalo. And I am pleased to introduce and present to you our study entitled The Use of Institutional Development and Innovation Grant, IDIGE module, to improve the students' academic performance in meteorology and oceanography 2. Background of the study. More and more college students as digital natives are turning to online or online learning courses. In this period of technological and digital advancements, schools today are offering effective classroom teaching and learning by utilizing the web. This shift in pedagogical medium has impelled higher educational institutions to replan how they deliver their course content among their students. Jefferson and Paul, 2019. The METEO-2 concepts, when learned by the students, will eventually give them insights on how to apply their skills and abilities to avoid the ill consequences of the meteorological and oceanographic conditions in our cargoes, ship, lives, and marine environment. According to Faulkner of 2004, 30% of ship mishaps take place under adverse weather conditions. Wing and Young 2015 stated that the chance of incidents of serious accidents is increased in 48% when the ship is exposed to violent weather disturbances. This study was conceptualized because Joseph Imaribalu was granted an IDIG, or Institutional Development and Innovation Grant project by the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, to enhance the Bachelor of Science in Marine Transportation curriculum through e-learning. That is why the researchers would like to test for the effectiveness of IDIG module in meteorology and oceanography 2, or METEO 2, through online learning with the use of Blackboard open learning management system in improving the students' academic performance in meteorology and oceanography 2. Theoretical framework. This study is anchored under the learning theories for online education, specifically the theory of community of inquiry, or COI, developed by Garrison, Anderson, and Archer 2000, having three distinct presence of cognitive, social, and teaching. This is because this study determines the academic performance of students in METEO 2 with the use of the IDIG module through Blackboard open learning management systems. Statement of the problem. Number one, what are the pre-test and post-test mean score performances of the students in METEO 2? Number two, is there a significant difference in the pre-test and post-test score performances of the students in METEO 2? Number three, what is the mean gain of the pre-test and post-test mean score performance in meteorology and oceanography 2? Number four, how effective is the IDIG module taught using the Blackboard open learning management system as a learning mode in terms of students' performance in METEO 2? Methodology. Research design. The one-group pre-test, post-test, or before-after quasi-experimental design was utilized in this study. It is a quasi-experimental design wherein the chosen single group of participants of the study is pre-tested, performed the intervention, and post-tested again. It is through this characteristic that the dependent variable is determined once before the intervention is performed and once after it is performed. A Dictionary of Psychology 2008. Participants. The participants of this research were the randomly picked single group, or one section, Polaristo A, composed of 40 second-year BSMT students from John B. Lacson Foundation Maritime University, Arevalo, and Iloilo City, who were enrolled in the course METEO 2 during the first semester of school year 2020, thus 2021. This study is only voluntary as covered in the Privacy Notice Form, PNF, and Informed Consent Form, ICF. Any student can withdraw their answers anytime they want. Instrument. A table of specification, or TOS, was made to guide the construction of the instrument in METEO 2. The questionnaire underwent content validity from 3 experts for preliminary validation in terms of content and appropriateness of instrument, and reliability testing with a reliability index of 0.77 using Coder-Richardson KR20. Data collection. Number one, the data needed for the study were gathered through the use of pre-test and post-test. Number two, the pre- and post-test were administered to one group through the use of Blackboard open learning management system with the assistance of the information technology experts. Number three, the treatment used was the IDIG module for online learning as a learning modality in this time of pandemic. Number four, the treatment lasted for 2 months, that is 8 weeks, ranging from midterm to finals during the first semester of school year 2020, thus 2021. Data analysis. Number one, mean. Determine the student's performance in the pre-test and post-test. Number two, standard deviation. Determine the level of the students' homogeneity in their meteorology and oceanography 2 performance. Number three, thesis of dependent samples. Determine the significant difference in the pre-test and post-test of the group in METEO 2 set at 0.05 level of significance. Number 4, hence the effect size. Determine the effectiveness of the IDIGE module in terms of students' performance and METU-O2 pro-online learning with the use of Blackboard Open Learning Management System of the second year THERESE-MTC students. Mean scale, descriptive rating, and indicators for interpreting the pretest and post-test scores. From the mean scale of 1.0 to 10.0, having a descriptive rating of 4, it has an indicator of students have mastered very few competencies. In the mean scale ranging from 10.01 to 20.01, having a descriptive rating of fair, it has an indicator of students have mastered few competencies. In the mean scale from 20.02 to 30.02, having a descriptive rating of good, it has an indicator of students have mastered at the average competencies. In the mean scale ranging from 30.03 to 40.03, it has a descriptive rating of very good, which has an indicator of students have mastered most of the competencies. And lastly, in the mean scale ranging from 40.04 to 50.0, it has a descriptive rating of excellent. And at the same time, it has an indicator of students have mastered all the competencies. Results and discussion. Number 1, the pretest mean score performance is described as very good, which means that the students have mastered most of the competencies that is before the treatment was introduced, while their post-test mean score performance is described as excellent, which implies that the students have mastered all the competencies in METU-O2 after the treatment was given. Furthermore, this implies that the performance of the students in meteorology and oceanography 2 has increased from pre-test to post-test. Number 2, the table reveals that there is a significant difference in the pre-test and post-test score performances of the students in meteorology and oceanography 2. T-value with a degree of freedom of 39 has an equivalent of negative 10.470, and the p-value is equal to 0.000. This implies that after the treatment, the students significantly performed better. The result is comparable to the study of Driscoll, Jeka, Hunt, Tibabsky, and Thompson 2012, that the overall mean scores revealed highly significant improvement in the post-test scores of students compared to their pre-test scores. However, there is no comparison or control group, and a lot of factors that may affect to the excellent performance of the students in METU-O2 were not identified or considered in this study. Number 3, the table above shows that the mean gain of the pre-test and post-test mean score performance of the students taking up meteorology oceanography 2 is 9.66. Number 4, the effect size using Cohen's d is 1.807. Since the effect size is greater than 1.0, the intervention has a large effect. Cohen 1988, as cited by Leonard and Leonard 2016. This implies further that the IDIGE module taught using the Blackboard Open Learning Management System as a learning mode is 96% effective. COI 2002 in terms of improving the students' performance in METU-O2. Conclusions. This study concludes that the students performed well after the intervention based on the significant difference on the pre-test post-test mean score performances. The intervention, which is the IDIGE module taught using Blackboard Open Learning Management System, is effective based on the mean gain and effect size. However, there is no comparison or control group. A lot of factors were not considered that may affect the academic performance of the students. Recommendations. Number 1, Sustainability of the use of IGE module taught using Blackboard Open Learning Management System of all GBLF EMEA Revolut teaching faculty in all courses, not only in meteorology and oceanography too. Number two, other instructional materials such as e-books and other e-learning materials may be uploaded by the teaching faculty member in the GBLF EMEA Revolut's Blackboard Open Learning Management System. Number three, similar studies may be conducted by other researchers with a comparison or control group after the pandemic to test if the use of IGE module taught using Blackboard Open Learning Management System is effective. Here are my references. Acknowledgement. This research was funded by the Commission on Higher Education through the Institutional Development and Innovation Grant, or IDIG. Dr. Marilo Lacson Arcelo, Dr. Ronald Raymond Lacson Sebastian, Captain Alfred G. Espinosa, PhD, and Dr. Brian Hill S. Sarinas. Keep safe, everyone, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Eighth presenter from St. THERESE-MTC Colleges, Tigbawan. Title: Satisfaction of Maritime Students Towards the Use of Print and E-Module as the Flexible Learning Modality in the New Normal, by Lucia S. Diaz.
A pleasant day, everyone. I am Lucia S. Diaz, and today I will present a research paper entitled Satisfaction Level of Maritime Students Towards the Use of Print and E-Module as a Flexible Learning Modality in the New Normal. The COVID-19 pandemic had forced everyone to find ways of doing things which is far from the conventional. The education sector, the Commission on Higher Education, together with the Department of Education, had to explore other learning modalities to continue the conduct of classes in the tertiary education and basic education, since face-to-face classes is not permitted anymore. And flexible learning is found to be an appropriate solution to continue the students' education. What is flexible learning? According to Joan et al., flexible learning is a set of educational philosophies and systems concerned with providing learners with increased choice, convenience, and personalization to suit the learner's availability. It provides learners with choices about where, when, and how learning occurs. According to Dr. Casiple, flexible learning is the appropriate design and delivery of programs, courses, and learning intervention that address situations in the new normal. Schools may use various learning modalities in implementing flexible learning, such as printed modules, audio tapes, video tapes, CDs, storage devices, and many others. Although there are advantages in flexible learning at this time of pandemic, there are also problems that needs to be resolved. These are the quality of teaching and learning, hidden cost, misuse of technology, and lack of human interaction in the learning process, which students may learn less in such a setup. Therefore, this study aimed to find the level of satisfaction of maritime students in using flexible learning materials, since in the flexible learning modality, there are many factors that affect the learning process, and the student satisfaction is found to be one of these factors that has an impact in the quality and overall performance of the students. Generally, this study aimed to determine the satisfaction level of the maritime students in using the flexible learning material. Specifically, this study aims to answer the following questions. First, what are the satisfaction levels of the maritime students in using the flexible learning materials in terms of content, conduct teaching, activities, assessment, laboratory, and organization presentation as a whole and when grouped according to types of flexible learning material, degree program, and year level. Second, is there a significant difference in the satisfaction levels of the maritime students in using the flexible learning materials in terms of content, conduct teaching, activities, assessment laboratory, and organization presentation when grouped according to types of flexible learning material, degree program, and year level? The hypothesis of the study states that there is no significant difference in the satisfaction levels of the maritime students in using the flexible learning material in terms of content, conduct teaching, activities, assessment, laboratory, and organization presentation when grouped according to types of flexible learning material, degree program, and year level. Methodology. Research design. This study used descriptive research design, and according to Cristobal and Cristobal, descriptive research is a design to obtain information concerning the status of the phenomena, to describe what exists with respect to variables or conditions in a situation. Respondents of the study. The respondents of the study are the 224 maritime students enrolled in BSMT and BSMARE degree program at St. Therese-MTC College's Magdalo site, school year 2020-2021. And Table 1 shows the distribution of the respondents. The entire group is 224. When classified according to type of flexible learning materials, those who are using print modules are 112. E-module is 112. According to degree program, the BSMT is 124, which is 55.36% of the total respondent. BSMARE is 100, which comprises 44.64% of the total respondent. And when classified according to year level, there are 85 first-year students, which is 37.95% of the total respondent, 72 second-year students, which is 32.14% of the total respondent, and 67 third-year students, which is 21.91% of the total respondent. Sampling technique. The respondents were chosen using simple random sampling. The research instrument is a researcher-made survey questionnaire that is made up of two parts, wherein the first part are the profile of the respondents and the survey proper. This research instrument is subjected to a reliability test, and it is validated by a panel of experts. Data analysis procedure. Frequency count, percentage, and mean are the descriptive statistics used in this study, and t-tests for independent samples were used to find the differences on the satisfaction levels of the maritime students. And one-way analysis of variance is also used to find the differences on the satisfaction levels of the maritime students when grouped according to year level. Results. Table 2.1 shows the satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material in terms of content, conduct teaching, activities, assessment, laboratory, and organization presentation as a whole. It can be seen on the table that the satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of FLM are the same, which is more satisfied. Overall, Table 2.2 shows the satisfaction levels of maritime students towards using the flexible learning material when grouped according to type of learning modality, degree program, and year level. It can also be seen on the table that the BS MARC respondents has the highest level of satisfaction towards using the flexible learning material, which is most satisfied with a mean of 4.40, while the first year students has the lowest satisfaction level towards the use of the flexible learning material, which is only satisfied with a mean of 2.70. Table 3.1, on the other hand, is the t-test results for the differences in the satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material in terms of content, conduct teaching, activities, assessment, laboratory, and the organization presentations when grouped according to type of learning modality. And the result reveals that there is no significant difference in the satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material. It means that their satisfaction levels are the same regardless of types of learning modality used. Table 3.2 shows the t-test results for differences in the satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of flexible learning material in terms of content when grouped according to degree program. And the result shows that there is no significant difference in the satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material. It means that their satisfaction levels are the same regardless of degree program. Table 3.3 gave the one-way analysis of variance test results for the differences in satisfaction levels of the maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material in terms of content when grouped according to year level. This time, the results reveal that there is a significant difference in the satisfaction level of the maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material when it comes to conduct teaching, activities, organization, presentation, and on their overall satisfaction. This means that year level is one of the factors that affects the satisfaction level of maritime students towards the use of the flexible learning material. Based on the results, the following conclusions were drawn. The maritime students' satisfaction level towards the use of flexible learning materials were more satisfied. The maritime students, regardless of types of modality and degree program, have the same satisfaction levels towards the use of flexible learning material across its different parts. They only differ significantly on their satisfaction levels when grouped according to year level, especially in terms of conduct teaching, activities, and organization presentation. So these are the references. Thank you very much, and God bless us.
Ninth presenter from the Lyceum of the Philippines University, Batangas. Title: Students Course Feedback Survey on Marine Engineering Professional Courses during the academic year 2018-2019 by Ms. Emma E. Montalvo.
Good day, everyone. My topic is all about mapping sustainable development goals in a university in the Philippines. First of all, I would like to thank the Visayas Maritime Research Cooperation for organizing our conference today. The universities are not just knowledge producers or suppliers of human resources, but they can also act as employer, customer, and linkage to different institutions. There are many initiatives about sustainability, but there are limited studies that discuss the assessment of SDGs initiatives in a private university. SDGs challenges is its own framework, governance, adoption, institutional structure, socio-political conditions, mechanisms, stakeholders, and perspectives. Developing countries like the Philippines needed technical and financial support. Globally, there is a clamor for the need to address the most pressing problems in society. Until in 2016, SDG have been implemented. Similarly, CHED Philippines issued Memo Order Number 52, Series of 2016, that states that one of the pathways to the relevance of higher education is our research, innovation, and extension for national transformation in the context of SDGs 2030. Sustainable development can be practiced in universities when there are funds and commitments. SED Goal 4 on education and Target 4.3, 4.6, and 4.7 are the components of higher education. It's important to align SDGs to institutional operations. All higher education institutions must be willing to implement the SDG agenda. Universities in the Philippines contribute to different SDGs. Sustainable development in the Philippine education will help preserve the environment and will turn and improve the quality of life of future generations. The university under study is a university which has 54 degree and non-degree programs. To implement transformational teaching and learning environment was one of the thrusts of the university. It also have outcomes-based education where the graduates have competence, collaboration, commitment, and credibility. Objectives to assess the practices of a Philippine university in contributing to SDGs from school year 2010-2019. To determine the strength of a private non-sectarian university in Region 4A, Philippines in SDGs through management, operation, and function, which are aligned with existing university activities and programs, especially in 2016, of linkages and suggested strategies on how universities sustain and integrate SDGs in its operations and practices. For the method, the SDG 2030 goals were assessed against the practices of the university through participant observation, secondary data, the use of the documents, and interviews. For theoretical framework, we have SDG principles and cognitive innovation. Findings and discussion. The university under study is an academic institution that realizes its obligation to society through its function, processes, and operation. The university is a sustainable university based on the definition of Muhammad 2015. SDG 2030 is an institution that have function and operations that needs to be, SED 2030 is in the function and operation of the university that needs to be highlighted, enhanced, standardized, monitored, and regulated. SED 2030 practices is within the required standard, either in accreditation, quality policies, or other mechanism of the university while performing its management and operations. For SDG 4, university's mission statement reflected SDG 4 that stated it is committed to provide quality education and develop leaders, lifelong learners, and globally competitive professionals. Also, in its institutional learning outcomes, lifelong learning and global skills by demonstrating understanding of responsibility for environment, local and global issues, and utilize lifelong learning strategies and practical skills for life survival and leadership. Lastly, the university included innovation and research skills that define and apply different types of thinking and research skills and employ innovative strategies to solve real-life solutions, explore new challenges, and conduct researches that are beneficial to the community. The mission and the learning outcomes, when realized by the students, will lead to quality education, while at the same time, a contribution to SED 2030. So, The university is operating for more than 50 years. It had passed most of the accreditation requirements. It has more than 203 board top-notchers. It gives scholarship to deserving students. The functions, for the functions, we have scholarship, participation in local and international, community outreach with indigenous people or Bajai were held. There are also webinars for housemaids and literacy program for the adopted community. So to increase the confidence of the faculty, there's international conferences and research presentations. SEG Goal 3. So we have to ensure healthy lives and well-being. It is integrated in teaching, research, and community extension policies of university, and then there is campus environment. There is a conduct of free TBC testing, preventive dental services, crime and drug abuse house-to-house programs to communities. Regular employees have healthcare benefits. No smoking policy is implemented. Seminars about communicable diseases were held. There was appropriate handling of hazardous substance in the laboratory through proper training of students and employees. Employees and students' well-being are monitored through physical examination and X-ray. The clinic of the university helps in the caring for medical needs of the students. 65% for SDG 5, 65% of academic and non-academic heads were female. Work flexibility for single parents were implemented. An Office of Gender and Development is part of the organization. Gender and equality is integrated in the learning process of the students. Seminar workshop about gender and development and violence against women were held. So Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995 integration in the employee and student manual. SED 6 and 12. So drinking water's periodic test and examination assure the campus community of safe water. Employees are encouraged to recycle newspapers. Water is always available to stakeholders. Recycling, reusing, and reducing products are part of the teaching and learning topics in NSTP and other subjects. Tree planting activity near the river and other bodies of water is conducted annually. Recycling and reducing waste are part of the everyday university program. Energy saving tips are posted in conspicuous places and integrated in the curriculum. So the National Service Training Program subject module has specific section for energy efficiency. SDG 8, there is a continuous and permanent student scholarship every year. The university supports new recommendation policies from different action researches conducted. The university is implementing procurement schemes. SDG 10, there are students from any country. So the university accepted international students from any country. They have more than 200 Nigerian students and other nationality alumni. So the beneficiaries of the houses built by the university in partnership with Couples for Christ were selected through a fair process. SED 16, we have campus safety. So the university has developed policies, procedures, and plans to ensure the campus is safe for all staff, students, and visitors. Checking of all the equipment in the classroom is done regularly or whenever the faculty members enter and leave the area. So there's regular cleaning and checking of the rooms, including the air conditioning units are done. SED 17, so the MLS program, we're partnering with PAMET and Mahidol University in Thailand. And then there is also partnership with the communities and stakeholders like the students and the employees. According to the university was also building strategies and culture that openly supports developing, maintaining, and enhancing partnerships with both internally and externally. SGD 1, so we have literacy and medical mission and regular conduct of outreach program. Goal 2, we have agriculture food seminar or backyard gardening to homeless families. So there are also for Zero Hunger SDD2, we have outreach program and seminars about reduction of food waste and sustainable food choices. 11, the university provided 50 decent houses from homeless families. In Lima campus, the dormitory is affordable, safe, green, and accessible mobility was experienced by the stakeholders. Inspections of earthquakes and the safety of the buildings were regularly done after its earthquake, and then training and drills for students and employees were held. SED 13, so we have annual tree planting and climate change education. So the elimination of plastics, styrofoam to decrease the use of disposable. And of course, the burning of waste is not allowed. SED 14, conservation of our waters and oceans. So participation in annual coastal cleanup and researches about ocean management and on-campus biodiversity and ecological system plan. So all university SED practices will lead to goal 1, no poverty. And the strength of the university understudy is SED 4. The university and other organizations struggle for 14 and 15. So the private non-sectarian university in Region 4A in the Philippines is aware and conscious about SDG 2030, but similar to the situation of the government of the Philippines, there are additional requirements, alignments, and integration that need to be done to implement SDG 2030 in the university. So the university is in the process of thinking, understanding, and learning sustainable development, integration, and implementation. So the university is implementing SDG if embedded in its functions and operation. So the university will always prioritize global competition and will bring SDG 2030 into implementation after considering additional commitment and funds. This poses a challenge its context, strategies, processes, and organizational structure and culture. The government can communicate the needed assistance so that a university located in any region can engage itself in SDG 2030 implementation and contribute to its achievement. For curriculum, in terms of the curriculum, all courses have a particular lesson content that addresses one or more SDGs. It means continuous implementation and transmission of the learning content to the society, which is similar to the requirement of UNESCO for teaching and learning. So university sustainable development programs category of linkage. So the community, the students, and the employees were the most frequent partner of the university in SDG 1 to 17. So for the strategies to strengthen SDGs in university, we have number 1, map what you're already doing, and number 2, build capacity and ownership of the SDGs. Third, identify priorities, opportunities, and gaps. Fourth, integrate, implement, and embed SDGs in the functions and operation of the university. Fifth, monitor, evaluate, and communicate. Conclusion, SDG 2030 are embedded, integrated, and implemented in the everyday operation and processes of a private non-sectarian university in a developing country like the Philippines. So it implements SDG 2030 if it is within the quality management and accreditation standard of the government. On the other hand, all programs have one or more courses that addresses SDGs. So the strength of the universities is SDG 2, 3, 4, 15, 16, 17, SDG 3, 4, 5, 16, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, and 12. For instruction function, it covers the cognitive or knowledge of the students. So most of the courses or the curriculum have SDG 1 to 17 concepts. Research function, SDG 2 and 17. Extension function, SDG 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, 17, 11, 13, and 15. While the management and operation usually practices SDG 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 16, and 17. Conclusion, it is aware and conscious about SDG 2030 but needs alignments and further integration. So the communities emerge as the university's partner the usual partner in SDGs. Universities can contribute to SDG 1 to 17 on knowledge, teaching and learning, research, governance, and leadership. The university contributed to the social, economic, and environmental development of society. It also produced socially responsible citizens and contributed to society through research and extension service. However, SDG practices and implementations are hard, complex, challenging, needs funds and commitments. The universities can contribute in all of the SDGs through interdisciplinary and participatory approach, alignment of policies and governance structure, increasing the number of SDG 1 to 17 related researches and publication, and aligning the academic program curriculum to SDG 2030. So that's the government contribution with the academe and the university management declaration of support to SDG 2030 can strengthen the country's contribution to SDGs. In this time of pandemic, where SDG 2030 relates to COVID-19 impact, continuous implementation of SDG 2030 in universities could lead to important recovery to economic, social, and environmental effects all over the world. So the university or higher education institution should implement SDG 2030 with a strong development support from the national to local level. If there is a need for local legislation for SDG 2030, there is also a need for formal commitment, regulation, budget allocation, and additional manpower resources for it in the university. Moreover, the government can collect data from the university through its formal day-to-day operations and functions. The university has SGD, formal commitment, regulation, budget allocation, and additional manpower resources. So SDG 2030 achievement in a private university needs to have regularity, reconciliation, functions, and operation. Implication, this study is beneficial for Philippine University where research about SDG is rare but much needed. Thank you.
10th presenter from John B. Lacson Foundation Maritime University, Molo. Title: Experiences, Challenges, Benefits and Research and Suggested Activities Towards Research Capability of Marine Officers by Chief Engineer Ralph P. Zamoras and Dr. Rolando A. Aliman.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am deeply honored today to share with you our study entitled Experiences, Challenges, Benefits in Research and Suggested Activities Toward Research Capability of Marine Officers. To continue my presentation, allow me to recognize the following persons who contributed to this particular study. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the contribution of late Chief Engineer Ralph Zamoras, and also I would like to acknowledge my co-author, Dr. Cynthia Kirimit. Introduction: research is a tool towards excellence in higher education institutions, as claimed by educators, academicians, and professors. It also leads to the attainment of global competitiveness in education. It further aims to develop the knowledge, skills, and character of the individuals, which is similar to the aims of education towards excellence. Education and research have similar purposes and functions. The purposes are the fundamental goals of the processes and aim to be achieved, while functions are the outcomes that may occur as a natural result of the process, and this is called products or consequences. To achieve the goal of the university, both research and education have significant function, according to Saldavia et al. In 2015. Statement of the problem. In order to understand our study, allow me to explain the following question. First, what were the experiences of the marine officers before and after they become marine researchers? Second, what challenges do these marine officers encounter in the process of conducting research? Third, what benefits were pointed out by these researchers in the process of conducting research? What are the suggested activities needed by the respondents in order to enhance the research capability? Ladies and gentlemen, so this is our conceptual framework, the experiences of the respondents, the challenges, the benefits, and the suggested activities, and leading towards research capability. Theoretical framework. Our study employed framing as a theoretical framework. What is framing? Framing is defined as a central organizing idea for making sense of relevant events and suggesting what is at issue. It is also about pointing out news that bears an imprint of power of the actors or interests that competed to dominate the text. Multiple qualitative research methods were used in this particular study. The interviews and testimonies were analyzed using categorization process. Method. First, the researchers used the experiences of the respondents, and these experiences were pointed out. Second, the researchers look into the challenges. Third, the benefits derived from the experiences of writing were looked into. Then, analysis of the difficulties encountered were also used. Suggested activities needed by the respondents to enhance the research capability were noted. In this paper, the framing approach was particularly used to address the objectives of the study. Respondents. The respondents of the study were the 10 marine engineers or marine officers. There was an inclusion criteria, the research qualitative, the experts in English and qualitative research validated the research instrument. Suggestions and recommendations of the experts were incorporated in the final version of the instrument. Reliability of the instrument was also conducted, and based on the standard of qualitative research as suggested by the experts Hapos, Tumapon, and Lozano in the year 2010. Results and discussion. Experiences of marine officers as researchers and the Maritime University. Here are the examples of the testimonies of the respondents or marine officers who had been in research. The first one said that as a researcher, it makes him to be excited and also the officers had met several challenges in conducting research. He said that I have learned to do the process of interviewing and document analyzing. I had interviewed welders and technical workers at Subic Shipyard, and I enjoyed gathering information on shipbuilding and repair. The second officer said that through this research, his experience was highlighted, especially in monitoring seagrasses or seagrass, and also by identifying the type of seagrasses and other dominant species in the area. And also his experiences in research lead him to measuring the height of the seagrasses and every quadrat, and also getting picture, biomass, specimens for laboratory testing and measuring seagrasses. The third one says that exchanging different ideas on issues and concerns and trends in education and maritime research, regulation and research and other environmental concerns had greatly helped him in conducting research. The other officers mentioned that his experience on dealing with scientific procedures and the discovery of new knowledge, this adds to his experience in conducting research, both quantitative and qualitative, and has contributed to his research experience. Another officer said that through the experiences he experienced, that research enhanced his skills and knowledge and understanding the research, especially the research process and the determination of the scientific data needed in the research activities. Now, the challenges of the marine officers in conducting research. First, the The officers believes that one of the challenges, according to him, is his transformation as a researcher and conducting research based on the desired research design and requisites. Another one mentioned that basically one of the challenges that he encountered is the awareness on natural sciences and specifically how to conduct research on environmental and other marine related topics. Another one mentioned that one of his challenges is translating research activities based on the university's mission, vision statements. And also another one mentioned that one of his challenges is about scientific procedure and discovery of new knowledge and translating the scientific procedure into research in order to validate the knowledge that he had gained in research. Another one says that showing the interrelationship among variables used in the research is one of his or are his challenges. Benefits derived in conducting research. Here are the benefits according to the respondents of the particular study. Another officer said that he believes that research had widened his professional career and made him a well-rounded instructor. Another one said that through this research, he has given a chance to share knowledge to his students. And also another one said that research has sharpened his knowledge on maritime affairs, issues, concerns, and trends and education. Another one said that research has prompted him to read and review, and also research improves his professional development. And also another one said that research has improved his technical knowledge and encouraged him to study more and to improve his knowledge and scientific investigation. So here is the suggested the diagram of the suggested activities. So the marine officers, the marine engineers need research capability building seminars or workshop. They need to attend to national or international research conferences, and they also need mentoring in the university. So here are the references of our study. So thank you so much for your listening. God bless us all.
11th presenter from the Maritime Academy of the Asia and the Pacific, Bataan. Title: Transition from ISO 9001 to ISO 21001 by Mr. Michael Amon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an honor and pleasure to be part of this Visayas 5th Maritime Research Cooperation. I would like to congratulate the organizer and the PAMI president for this very momentous events of this Maritime and Archipelagic National Awareness Month, or MANAMO 2021 celebration, and a series of webinar. And special mention to the encouragement of past President, Vice President Felix Oka, for being part of this session this afternoon. Let me share screen on our simple paper entitled Map Transition from ISO 9001 2015 to ISO 21000 2018, the new quality standard in education organization. This is a paper with me, with our own very benevolent President, Vice Admiral Maar Santos. In his behalf, I'll be discussing this short paper with you. Indeed, sustainable success has become an ever more important future goal in all industries, but challenges arise from the advent of the fourth industrial revolution and revisions of national and international regulations directly affecting or affects the shipping industry, trickling down to the maritime education and training institutions. So this afternoon, I'll be discussing the introduction, a literary survey, the history of 9001 and 21000, and how did we came about from 9001 to 21000, and some conclusions and recommendations. The world has changed and currently in the transition from traditional or the so-called old normal to the new normal education system due to the overwhelming pandemic crisis that greatly affected mankind and the maritime education system. So educational organization, learners, and lecturers have no choice but to adapt to the warping speed of the fourth industrial revolution in teaching and learning. According to Schwab, characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical and digital and biological spheres. So e-learning system has become a core service now in maritime education and training. The next question is, how can we maintain the quality of education in this challenging time? This paper shall be discussing how our school has adapted to the fourth industrial revolution and the ISO 21000, and hope with this paper presentation it could become a framework for the learners, educational organizations, and interested parties. So a short method that we have used this is historical method. We'll be looking at the history of 9001, 21000, how it came to be. And of course, looking at our school, how we did the evolution of management standards. According to Berg and Lure, attempts to systematically recapture the complex nuances, the people, the meanings, events, and even the ideas of the past that have influenced and shaped the present. So let us look at the quality control history. So if you have known, Walter Sheward in 1931 published a book which he called Economic Control of Quality of Manufactured Products. So highlight on manufactured products. He's considered as the father of statistical process control and the grandfather of total quality management. He also coined plan, do, study, act. He worked with the very well-known William Edwards Deming in World War II, and he worked with productivity. He's the father of the Deming cycle, which now is being currently used and known as the plan, do, check, act in the management system. And in 1954, Joseph Juran has focused on quality management system courses in Japan, which he focuses on the human dimension on quality management system. He is well known for the Pareto diagram or principle and Juran's trilogy. So these are what we call the father of quality control. Next is, how did ISO 9000 came into being? Actually, it was based on a British standard for manufacturing process management in 1940s. So take note, it's not yet ISO, British standard. But in 1987, the former publication of the first edition of ISO 9000 came into being with three versions, 9001 and 9002 and 9003. So there is the adage has been known as the write down what you do what you write down, and make sure you're doing it right. So from that time on, some certifying bodies like ABS, DNVS certifying now sailing vessels during those times. 1984 has been revised and included preventive action. So this is what we call 87 and 1994 version, the elemental approach. If you could recall, 20 elements. In year 2000, there's been a major overhaul of the standards. The third edition is well known as the Process Approach Standards, from 20 elements now to 10 major clauses. And a short revision has been made during 2008. The fourth edition is just to harmonize it with the standard ISO 14000. And last 2015, the fifth edition, which is also known as the risk-based standard, is what we're using right now. Now let us look at the history of 21000. In 2003, we all know that 9000 is based on manufacturing practices. So there was a move in the educational organization, so to study how does it apply in an organizational setup, educational organization. So ISO decided to come up with an ISO International Workshop Agreement, or IWA 2, and it was published. It is a guidelines for the application of 9001. How do you apply 9001 in an educational organization if you are providing educational products? However, it is not used for certification. So you will not see any certified in IWA 2. It was revised in 2007 because it has provided additional guidelines on management system in educational organization. Unfortunately, it's still not being used for certification. Eventually, in 2018, finally, there was a standard specific for educational organizations. So if automotive has their own, cybersecurity has their own, now we have our own for educational organization. And it's a requirements for management system for educational organizations, or EOMS. And good thing it can be certified now. Of course, this was based on another ISO standard, which is informal education. Looking at some literary works, what is the goal of this standard? It is to demonstrate its ability to support the acquisition and development of competence through teaching and learning or research. So, bottom line, why are we teaching in schools or maritime school? To develop the competence of our students. So same goal, even STCW, standard of competence. And another is to enhance the satisfaction of the learners, other beneficiaries, and staff. How? To the effective implementation of this system, including improvement, assurance of conformity, and meeting the requirements of the learners and other beneficiaries. Let's look now how our school has transformed from 9001 to the new standard. Looking back in 2000, we have been certified in the 1994 version. However, we have also subscribed to another rules because since it's designed for manufacturing, we have opted to have our DNV rules for maritime academies. And a year after, we added standards for our training center because we also have our training center, the ESTC. In 2002, because of the revision, we have to adapt to the new standards. So we have been certified to 2000 version with 2 more standards for maritime academies and training centers. In 2006, so before the EMSA comes, we have subscribed to a standard called PSB 100-2002. This is a combination of educational standard and the STCW, dropping down the other standards. And just because there's a revision, we need to upgrade also in 2009. In 2016, our school has been certified first by DNV in in all its clients in the Philippines, and still we coupled it with PSD 100 2002. And eventually, after the publication of 21,000 in 2018, MAAP has been the first, maybe not only in the Philippines, but also in the region for DNV. However, the certification has not been easy because, as we all know, coronavirus has struck not only in the Philippines but also in the world. So what happened? This gave way to our first remote virtual audit. So what we're doing now also is a transition, right? Virtual webinar. Yan. Okay, so we have 5 noteworthies, 2 OBs for FS, 0 major NC, and 0 minor non-conformity. So meaning if there's a will, there's a way. But before that, before the virtual remote audit has been delayed because of the pandemic. So, but because of this new way of auditing, we were able to conduct it even though it's pandemic time. So what we were trying to say here? What is the reflection of this paper? It's very clear that ISO 9001 standard alone will not suffice to provide quality maritime education for the learners and other beneficiaries in our own perspective. We look at if you look at the figure 1, in the first years of MAP, we have 3 standards for the system and for providing courses and programs. And then we opted it down to a more specific STCW standards and educational standards, trimming it to only 2 standards. And just recently, we only are subscribed to 21,000. Transition in the education system of the content-based into a competent-based system or outcome-based framework of ISO 21001 indeed is responsive to the times and not a force fit like 9001. So what are the benefits that we have gained from this transition? First is cost of effective certification. It's much cheaper. Before we have 3 standards to pay, 2 standards to pay. Now we only have 1. And if you compare the price of 9,001 to 21,000, it's a little bit cheaper. And this standard is tailor-made for educational quality standard system. It's not designed for manufacturing. You don't have to translate because all the outcome-based there, the assessment are specific in this standard. One good thing, it is OB if compliance or framework is competence concentrated and outcome based. If you look at the design and development and even in the assessment. And good thing number 4, this is a 2-in-1 standard. If you comply with this, you're complying with 9001. It's risk-based also, and all the terms and definition are tailor-made for educational organization. And because of this new trend on remote auditing, the certification and operation is very well adapted to the 4th Industrial Revolution. So after the transition, so what did happen to our school? So number 1, there are more sponsors really getting scholars to our school. That's the good news. And other schools have tried to benchmark with us on how we did the operation even though we are in a crisis. And one of the significant thing that we have done is we have this cloud-based simulation because in schools, we have this practical or simulation problem if it will be if there will be no face-to-face. So this one could be done in a local computer, and all the simulation could be done in your console. And full development and implementation of our LMS has been done. It could be intranet, and now we have moved to intranet system. And good thing we have this SIS. It's what we call the online assessment system for student. I call it Student Examination Assessment System, or SIS. So we have tried that during the pandemic time, following the standards. Most of the offices has made online and digital processes, and we have adopted this asynchronous and synchronous session using Google Meet together with our LMS. So good thing about this is not bragging by ourselves, but what's more important is other telling us that an accolade from our industry partner, Mr. Francesco Gargulio of IMEC, lauded the school for ensuring cadetship program is continued in spite of the challenges posed by the pandemic. And just recently, Maap Bags, second prize winner for CHED and University of the Philippines during the first International Higher Education Internationalization Award last May 20. So amongst prestigious schools, our school has been awarded second prize. So next is our consistency in passing the national average. So in spite of the pandemic last 2020, we still have a 98 passing rate for the deck officers and 85 passing rate. This exemplifies an effective educational quality standard system from 9001 to 20,001. So what are the conclusions of this short review of the history? MAP and other maritime schools or training centers need to use the correct management tool to provide quality education and training to learners to develop their competency need by the industry to ensure safety of life, property, and environment at sea for a sustainable shipping industry. With MAAP trailblazing transition from manufacturing-based standard 9001 into an educational organizational standard 21001 have paved the way for others to follow. In this era of passage in the new mode of teaching and learning brought about by the pandemic and turbo boosted by the fourth industrial revolution, the management system is also another venue that education and training must evolve itself. Just like using a rudder moving steady forward for ships instead of fin used for cars. The benefits of transition were very evident in terms of cost, competence focus, risk-based thinking, and flexibility to adapt to the ever alteration in the fabric of history. The best time of transition is now, for even if the pandemic ends, the new standard and practice in the education system may be the norm for the future of this mass, artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, and many more. As the old saying goes, change is the only constant thing in this world. We need to metamorphose to the new and better system for our learners and other beneficiaries using ISO 21000 as our management system, totally fully aligned to the nature of the educational organization. So some recommendations, in spite of, I'm here, I'm very happy that I'm speaking here. This to inspire other schools, participants, and Ajay that inside in this webinar. So if we could convert into 21,000, so that is for your benefits, for the benefits of the industry, the country as a whole, as this PAMI as a venue to advocate this. And I've heard, I think Marina will be in the future might endorse this already. Map to further pursue to other education quality standards. And if you want to, yes, you could do this also in your schools. So we could partner with one another and develop a short course, perhaps within PAMI. I've talked with DP and we would like to assist all PAMI members on the transition and development of this training course within the school. And to move further, we need an innovation team. So just recently, our president has launched this team, and we have projects to be ahead of what is currently used in the industry right now. And of course, to further improve our quality systems, we need to fully automate everything, even the not only the audits, the risk management, the planning, so it will be easy for us as users of management systems. And with that, thank you for your attention. If you want to know more, you just can email me as the organizer. You can email me at amon.mike@gmail.com or maamon@maap.edu.ph. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless all PAMI members.
For poster presentations, first presenter from John B. Locson Foundation Maritime University, Molo. Title, Graduates, Deployment and Attributes of Bachelor of Science in Marine Engineering Program, Tracer Study by Dr. Rolando A. Aliman, Third Engineer James J. Victoriano, Third Engineer Raul T. Villaruz, and Moisel Nagnal Descalzota. Second presenter from John B. Locson Foundation Maritime University, Molo. Title, Home and School Environment, Academic Achievement and Performance in Maritime Schools Assessment Program, Basis for Instructional Enhancement by Engineer Marie Bella Navarro Estores. Third presenter from John B. Locson Foundation Maritime University, Molo. Title, Laboratory Services Leading to Quality Maritime Education and Training at Maritime University in Philippines by Engineer Excel S. Mildore and Dr. Rolando A. Aliman. Fourth presenter from St. Therese-MTC Colleges, Magdalo. Title, Employer Satisfaction on the Performance of Maritime Graduates of St. Therese-MTC Colleges for the academic year 2018-2019, a graduate tracer study by Engineer Herbert Rex L. Capalia. Fifth presenter from St. Therese-MTC Colleges, La Fiesta. Title, The Level of Practices in Minimizing Food Leftovers Among Selected Carinderias in Iloilo City by Mrs. Jenaline Masbong.
To finally end the 5th Visayas MARC 2021, a virtual colloquium, let us give a warm virtual applause to the closing remarks of Mr. Sabino Sar Manglikmod, the PAMI or Philippine Association of Maritime Industry President.
Good afternoon, everyone. Allow me first to congratulate the organizers of the 5th Maritime Research Cooperation, led by PAMI, ARNET, Visayas, Septet, and the demand industry is the change to address pandemic, so to direct industry revolution station. Shift with demand, we educate, and it is here research vital. It is now expected of us to immerse ourselves in research. It is through research that we can steer our way, navigate our way through this industrial direction. Likewise, in the recovery of our country after this pandemic, we believe that the academics should be in the center of this undertaking. The participation of academics here is to provide knowledge, insight where there is uncertainty. And this new knowledge can only be a product of research. Hence, our participation here should create synergy, an energy that can influence and develop an evidence-based practice and research culture. It is our sincere hope that all of the participants this afternoon can translate whatever they have learned in this colloquium into life practice for the betterment of personal and professional affairs. Good luck and keep safe at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
We appreciate the cooperation of all participants for this successful virtual event. We all pray for the safety and good health of everybody. I am your host, Dr. Lorena M. Opong, saying Carpe Diem.
We would like to acknowledge the working committees for the 5th Visayas MARC Colloquium. Colloquium Chair, Dr. Maria Teresa S. Sarabia. Secretariat and Registration, Ms. Christine Joy Perles. For the Technical and Virtual Colloquium Officers, Mr. Mark Anthony S. Gamusa, Mr. Ruel A. Entrina, Mr. Ryan Aldrich C. Lavilla, Mr. Howard W. Lubatanga. For the PDF program and evaluation, Mrs. Maylene S. Kainga, Mrs. Elgin D. Bernesa, Mrs. Joylyn F. Ablon. We would like to thank and acknowledge the contribution and cooperation of the following: Commodore Hortilio Arturo E. Cornelio, PCG, District Commander, Coast Guard Division, Western Visayas. Mr. Sabino Sar Manglikmo, the President of PAMI, Philippine Coast Guard, Western Visayas, Philippine Association of Maritime Institutions, Women in Maritime Philippines, Western Visayas, St. THERESE-MTC colleges, and to all who contributed their time and effort of this endeavor. Thank you so much from the organizers.
you